Do aliens dream of electric sheep? Junior tightened his tentacles around the two action figures in mortal combat. In his thermal-based imagination, they burned with powerful heat signatures. One figure depicted a hero with 8 arms and a giant beak. Not unlike himself. The other was a monster with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a mop capable of crushing small invertebrates. Their battle was as inevitable as dinner time aboard the Helios. "You'll never defeat me! I have all the proper paperwork," Junior signed the monster's taunt with a free tentacle. His pet human, Lester, had been teaching him, and play was good practice. With 3 arms, he hung upside down from the grated ceiling. From his perspective, the figures flew above the bunk room's cold floor as they clashed. Lester called the bunk room tiny, but its bunk beds embedded in the wall, and shared closets. But to Junior, the room was an enormous battlefield. The lights next to him blazed like a star, and the embedded bunk beds were moss-covered caverns, and the smelly sock piles of despair lurked below. Junior played, cautious, not to extend his suction cup spikes from his arms. He didn't want to damage the freshly mended toys. He'd made that mistake before with when two in character, and Lester had taken a few rotations to fix them. As the figures clashed, the hero took a blow that sent him spinning and off balance. The monster, as it loomed and raised its deadly mop. "Not so fast!" Junior yanked a 3rd figure from behind his back. A stuffed animal Lester called a cat. The salt and pepper-colored cat shielded the hero from the monster's blow. The cat looked at the hero. "Let's join forces!" The hero bobbed in affirmation and joined the cat to slap the monster down. "Oh no, I am defeated!" cried the monster as Junior let the figure drop to the floor. It clattered, and its mop tumbled into the pile of discarded socks next to the lower bunk. Maneuvering the cat and hero next to each other, they embraced. "Oh, thank you, my friend," the cat said and pulled away. "Now let's reward ourselves with a feast fit for champions." The thought of food warmed Junior's 3 hearts. Lester usually brought him a midnight snack by now, like tasty eggs or maybe a finger. He wouldn't eat the finger. He'd only gnaw on it. Junior only ever nibbled on humans to show affection, or if he felt peckish. He held his action finger to his core with one arm and cartwheeled to the nearest wall with the rest. Cold, uncaring metal greeted him with each suction cup. Lester called the flying disc they lived on a spaceship. Junior wished it wasn't so chilly. For most rooms, he preferred to be carried, although the cantina and its yummy snacks and the life support that pumped warm air through the ship, well, they were nice. Oh, and the vents weren't bad. Junior paused above the upper bunk to enjoy one such vent's heat. He noted his other roommate's bunk was vacant. Lester being out late wasn't unusual, but Quoll should be in bed snoring by now. Junior shrugged. Sometimes humans forgot to do nice things for themselves, like sleep. His stomach growled, and Junior clicked his beak. Maybe Lester lost track of time, working in the Helios biology lab. Junior, it is so cute, isn't it? Junior hatched there about 6 sleep nights ago. Initially, he'd not been allowed to leave the lab, but after a lot of tests, Lester had introduced him to the other crewmates. Most of the 5-man crew had been friendly, other than her. She had tried to take him away. Since then, Lester had made Junior stay locked in their bunk room. He really should stay put, until Lester returned with the snacks. Junior continued down and navigated the hollow screen mag block to the lower bunk. If he touched them, they made him feel tingly, but Lester loved the screens. He liked to scratch on the hollow screens with a pen. The other humans would look at them with awe, but Junior didn't get it. To each sentient creature his own, he supposed. He pushed aside the curtain and flung himself onto Lester's lower bunk. Pulling back the cover, Junior tucked his action figures into bed and gave each an affectionate nibble on the forehead. He stretched his 4 tentacles and arched his core back, yawning and chittering with his beak. He sat on the bunk. What to do? He hated being locked in here, but Lester said it wasn't safe to go out alone, not with her around. His stomach growled again. Void it? He'd find Lester and eat a midnight snack or die trying. It wasn't like he didn't know how to be sneaky. It'd be easy. In, out, snack, then sleep. 10 minutes tops. He pinwheeled off the bunk and up the wall. Hot air guided him back to the vent above Quell's bunk. Compressing his arms, he slid through the grate. His beak was the hardest part. Literally. Crichton scraped against the metal as Junior popped out on the other side. He took a moment to shake his organs back into their preferred state. Inside the vent, he'd hid his treasure trove of stolen artifacts. It included several marbles, a ball bearings, a cracked yellow AI sphere, and a stress ball. Junior thumbed his way past the scavenged treasures to the main shaft, which led to the rest of the Helios. The bunk room was on the second of 3 floors. The second floor housed the humans' labs and cantina. Above was the bridge where they liked to stargaze. Below was the cargo bay, life support, hyperdrive, and her storage room. A place where if she caught him, Junior would spend the rest of his days locked in a container without any toys at all. Junior steeled himself to venture into the Helios vent maze, paused, and double-checked to give a stress ball a squeeze. It helped to start off adventures with a hug. Pinwheeling back, he faced the maze once more. A blast of hot air blinded him from below, but he welcomed it. He'd needed to be careful as he leapt across. If he fell, he'd crash directly into the laser maze above her storage. From that past experience, that was not fun. With a deep inhale, he leapt across the central vent. He landed on the other side with a thunk. Topsy-turvy pathways of the second-floor ventilation system gave him no trouble in his search for Lester. Examining the biology lab with his thermal sense, he found it empty, as was the cantina. It wasn't until he tasted the tangy grease of a well-oiled machinery that Junior found any signs of life. Stuffing his core against the vent of the greasy engineering lab, he peered inside. The boxy room had a pile of haphazardly stacked equipment in front of the door, and 3 blazing heat signatures. The first was Quell. Stroking his black beard with a mechanical arm, Junior had elated at the sight of his roommate. The bald man had the appearance of a squished marshmallow, short, squat, and tasted like burned sugar with a hint of iron, like a hard candy drizzled with solder. Quell held a cracked orb about the size of an apple. Junior pressed himself against the vent, ready to split past, but stopped when he tasted rosemary in the air. Across the table from Quell was her. Lester had many names for her: Void Chiller, Plasma Head, Pain in the Ash, but the most common one was Common Sense Officer, or CSO. Rosemary soap and cold sweat wafted off her small human form. Her short hair was tied back in a bun. In her hand, she held the dreaded mop. Many times Junior had dodged that baton-like weapon. She'd poked and snapped at him. But Lester shielded Junior. At least she hadn't noticed him. Yet. The CSO took the orb from Quell and fitted it into the mop's handle. A heat signature radiated from the orb. She turned it toward a third figure strapped to the lab table. For a trio of heart-stuttering moments, Junior feared it was Lester, but the figure was feminine. Judging from the wild curly hair and the tricorn hat beside the table, it was Natasha. But something was horribly wrong with the scientist. Her body temperature glowed feverishly. Natasha twisted and thrashed against her restraints, her vibrations loud and animalistic. The CSO leaned over with mop, but the orb cracks propagated, and its aura sputtered with dying light. She frowned and removed the cracked sphere from the mop's handle. Junior pulled back in horror. All was not well aboard the Helios. What was the CSO up to? If he had to find out and warn Lester. She and Quall exchanged agitated hand motions that didn't translate well, but Junior did his best to read lips. It was a strange thing human did to communicate, smashing their fleshy bits together to make noise. It wasn't as refined as his chittering, but he was getting good at understanding the mushy sounds. "It isn't my fat," fat italicized. Quall stuttered as Junior struggled to interpret him. "What do you mean it isn't your fat?" the CSO snapped. "You munched the damned sheep!" I'm going to say this because you guys can't read this. There's a lot of words that he's not getting that are italicized here. And he is, let's just say, an unreliable narrator for this moment. Junior tilted his core in confusion. When did she start fat-shaming? Had she no shame? "How do we get this sheep off her nugget?" the CSO asked. Quall turned away, and Junior couldn't read his lips, but the CSO nodded. Quall retrieved a syringe from the lab's counter. He injected something into Natasha's arm, and her thrashing subdued. The CSO tilted Natasha's head, and Junior noticed a cold spot below her neck. It was about the same size and shape as Junior. Goosebumps covered his arms, and his skin paled a shade. Whatever these humans were up to, it was no good. Junior had expected better from Quall. Could the CSO have tricked him somehow? Quiet as he could, he retreated down the vent. This was bigger than a midnight snack now. The rest of the crew had to be warned before the nefarious CSO's dealings, or else whatever happened to Natasha could happen to Lester. All right. So, I can pause there if you would like, or I can keep going. I'm going to cast it out to the audience. What would you prefer?